This is Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnon, the podcast.
If you are a listener to the show, you have heard us talk over and over again about risk tolerance, but how do you define it really? Here's Carrie Hannon on Yahoo Finance.
It's really how much you can stomach when the markets drop. Are you going to freak out? Are you going to panic? So this is sort of this moment where you have to sort of take a breath and really be honest with yourself. How can you handle the drops? And we see these all the time. And can you wait it out for it to come back? So if a 10% drop is going to make you crazy, then you're not very risk tolerant. But it's important to understand that because this is going to tell you how much you want to be in the stock market, invested in equities, or in cash and bonds, which is a little more steady, and you're not going to have these ups and downs.
So that's the definition is what she's going with here. So David, how do you go about measuring a client's risk tolerance? Walk me through this process.
Well, I'll tell you, risk tolerance is one of the first things we measure in our process. And what we'll do to kind of get that gauge is we'll go through some questionnaires, we'll use software, we'll use real-world examples on how a client might react to volatility. And one of the questions I love to ask is, what happened in 2008 with your investment plan because we had a big financial collapse? And a lot of portfolios were down 30 to 50%. And I'll get a sense as to how they reacted to that because in some cases people sold out and now they really had to struggle with after the market started recovering, how do you get back into the market without getting beat up again? And then others indicated that we didn't sell anything and our values dropped at least 50%, but we stayed the course. And in 4 to 6 years, we got it all back. So when people tell me they haven't sold their investments and they got it all back, well, you still start from a losing position, right? Because you're starting from the low value and you got to wait to come back. And so we try to help people look at ways and opportunities to design their investment plan so they can protect from those big drops because it takes time for that to recover. And if you're close to retirement and you experience that, that could change how your retirement might look and how much you can spend or the timing of when you do retire. And the key is if you want to design the ideal investment plan, first make sure it's aligned with your planning objectives and goals. Do you need income or is it still growth oriented? But you can put a proactive plan in place where you are protected from these big dips and you still capture upside. And when you design a plan that's consistent in earnings with a lot less volatility, you will accumulate more wealth and have more income to derive. So these are things we teach. These are basic planning, investment, structuring concepts. But when you teach somebody that there are opportunities that are different than what they've been doing all along, which is a passive approach to investing. You know, people will allocate their money in different categories. A lot of things that we do see are people are invested in mutual funds. It's a portfolio that might be a blend of 60% in equity funds and 40% in bond funds. And they just rebalance that every quarter. But there are so many other things out there to enhance your investment approach and the long-term benefits with using alternative investments, proactive management, and so on. And so this is what we bring to the table. We create value. We lower your risk. We show you how to increase your yields. And one of the very important things that they should be incorporating in their long-range planning is how do you reduce your taxes in retirement instead of deferring and compounding your tax bill like everybody seems to be doing. And the wealthy don't do that. They take advantage of the tax code to employ strategies to their advantage and reduce taxes, and that's why they build wealth better.
I mean, and that's really the whole goal in retirement, right, is to build wealth and continue that with consistent earnings that you talk about and having more income in your pocket. That is really the key because that is going to, really answer that question, am I going to run out of money? Well, no, I'm not because I have consistent earnings, I have investment strategies, I'm being proactive, I'm lowering my risk and increasing my yields. Also known as lowering my risk and increasing my money.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of easy there.
You can take one of two approaches to making your decisions financially. You could be proactive, and when you are in a proactive model, you have a plan. And your plan is designed for your personal objectives and aligning your money accordingly and your tax strategies. And also having backup strategies and airbags on your money to protect it. So when the market does lose money, you have something in place to protect you. You have a plan. You don't have to worry about what is going to happen to your long-range planning and objectives because we have some safeguards. People, in many cases, are reacting to their money, and everybody has their own financial pain threshold. And some have higher pain thresholds when they lose money, and some have much lower pain thresholds, right? Mm-hmm. And that's when people react. And they react with their emotions, and they make very costly financial mistakes because they have the emotions controlling that decision process. When you have a plan, all your decisions are based off the details of your personalized analysis, and your decisions are done rationally and logically. And that's why they just get better results. A plan is a key to the whole success of what your retirement might experience and what it might look like.
You know, one of the things included in this so-called One Big Beautiful Bill is something they call Trump accounts. These are new. They're tax advantage investment accounts pre-funded with $1,000 of seed, basically money for every child born from the beginning of 2025 through the end of 2028. But by the way, if your kids were born before 2025, they're eligible for the IRA style accounts, but not the $1,000 seed money. So keep that in mind. Now, the government's idea here is to get all kids into saving and investing earlier in life. So when they turn 18, they can use this money for qualified purposes like college or even buying a new home. So while this might sound good on paper, right? I mean, I read it on yahoofinance.com. There's got to be some financial advisors that aren't a fan of the Trump accounts. Where do you stand on this, David?
Well, it's very attractive, right? They're going to give you some seed money of $1,000 to get the account set up. But the thing that isn't so great is the fact that you're going to have taxable withdrawals in the future. I mean, the alternatives right now that we've had access to for a very long time are the 529 college plans, so you can grow that money and pull it out tax-free if it's used for the qualified education purposes. Roth IRAs for teens with earned income is a great option because you have access to that tax-free. And if you are looking at a child who currently is fairly young, we look at specially designed cash value life insurance plans that are maximizing the living benefits to accumulate that money tax-free for college in the future. But what some of the things are that offers and brings to the table is there's some advantages when you're trying to qualify for preferred financial aid or funding, because that particular asset is really off the radar for resources in the formulas for FAFSA, right? Mm-hmm. And then we put the death benefit on the parent. So we have young families, obviously, or people that, if God forbid, if somebody passed away, one of the parents, then the death benefit usually substantially has enough value tax-free to pay for the children's college tuition. So you never know. There's always backup strategies we try to employ in what might happen in the future with your money and your family situation. But these are the things that we look at. And this new bill that they passed, where you get the seed money, but the benefits long-term doesn't have the tax advantage access to it like some of the tools we still have today.
Real quick, David, I've asked you this before. I'll ask you it 100 more times here. Of course, you've been doing this nearly 40 years, which that alone speaks volumes of what you have done for many, many people out there. What makes you different than the big names that we all know and, we hear about them, we see them? What makes you different than those guys out there?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we do comprehensive planning, and we look at all your moving parts financially and put together a comprehensive plan analysis. We look into the future with what you're doing today, and we get calls. Many of our calls are from people that have advisors, and it's important to understand what your advisor is wired to do for you, what their experience and skill set is. And if you're with a big box firm, they're probably just focused on your investments and selling you investments. Or if you're working with an insurance agent, they're going to be selling you annuity products. And the question I always lay out to them is say, listen, if they're advising you or recommending any investment to you, you need to ask, how do you really know what you're recommending to me and investing my money into is the right thing if you're deciding or making these recommendations not off of a plan, but off of an assumption, right? So It's like putting the cart before the horse.
The hit Broadway musical Hamilton is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and during that time, it's won so many awards, 11 Tonys, a Grammy, and even a Pulitzer Prize. And oh yeah, it's grossed over $1 billion worldwide. I have never seen this show. Have you seen this show? Do you want to see the show, David?
I haven't seen it, but I heard they sell out months in advance.
Yes.
And it's tough to get tickets.
Oh, yeah, I would assume so, especially with the popularity. And, I'm kind of with our next guest here on the show. I mean, some people go see the show and they came away confused. I'm kind of with Sebastian Maniscalco here. He's a comedian. I'd love to see the show, but I'm not exactly sure I know the whole detail behind it. Listen to this.
So this thing starts 10 minutes into Hamilton. I tap my wife. I go, I got no idea what's going on. I couldn't understand it. I didn't even know what Hamilton did. I went to this play to find out why this guy was so fabulous. And you gotta understand something about my wife and I. We are dumb. I'll tap my wife. I go, you know what's going on? She's like, no, you? Nothing. We just sit there. Dumb.
I feel like, I don't know if I'd be that far removed, but I can see myself going, who's that? Why are they important? What do they do? And I love Sebastian Maniscalco. I've seen him live. He's incredible.
He is a funny guy.
Oh, my gosh. Well, this example just kind of brought me back about maybe people feel the same way about retirement planning, right? Maybe they just kind of shake their head and go, sure, I know what you're talking about, but 9 times out of 10, they don't. So really, how do you slow things down and explain really the basic plot of retirement planning for folks?
Well, I'll tell you, retirement planning can feel like Hamilton, right? There's lots of moving pieces and confusing language. And what we try to do is break it down into simple step-by-step approaches on how to better understand what you're doing, how it might look in the future, and kind of tie in all these moving parts together. And, recently I had a client bring in a stack of statements and insurance policies. So what we did, we simplified it to a one-page personalized strategic retirement income plan. And then they finally said, hey, I understand where every dollar's coming from. They have the clarity and peace of mind now, knowing that retirement is going to be somewhat predictable for them because their money's in the right place, aligned with the right benefits, because the plan analysis we did will show us where your money should and needs to be to create the income, how to lower your risk, increase your yields, and have backup strategies for other things, such as out-of-pocket health care and also adjustments for inflation. And we also are able to integrate tax efficiency planning. So when you do take your income, you don't pay all the taxes that you might have been exposed to because we structured a tax plan right behind it. So it's important to know your numbers and also have a plan that's coordinated with it. Because if you get to that place, then there's no guesswork. You know the decisions you need to make on how you invest, where your income needs to be drawn from, and how to protect yourself, because we do things differently. We don't put money in a passively managed investment plan where you're hoping for the best. And that's kind of the path most people are on. They invest their money and they kind of back off and they just hope it's going to all work out. And that's not proactive planning. That's reactive planning, like we just spoke about a little while ago. And the mistakes that people make are typically in their blind spot. And these are the things we uncover that they don't see. We see things that people don't see because we've been doing this for decades.
I mean, decades as in nearly 40 years, guys.
Yeah, it's actually over 40. I don't want to brag about that because, it's something that I wish I could go back 30 more years and do it all over again. But it's something that experience helps people obtain value. And we create value because we're financial strategists. We're trying to find value in employing the right strategies and the right financial tools and the right tax planning. And an advisor should create value for you, not just charge you a fee and just only stay focused on your investments, because something else is suffering and costing you money if nobody's paying attention to it and how to optimize those other resources that nobody's looking at. Proactive planning is the key.
For more details or to sit down with David for your complimentary financial GPS, visit masteringyourwealthradio.com. brookstone.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, BWA, a registered investment advisor and an affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and First Financial Planners are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BWA, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents.
Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims-paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.
David Gagnon and First Financial Planners are not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.
Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interests of our clients and to make full disclosure of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure, the ADV 2A Item 4, for additional information.